had a wonderful weekend. You are welcome to NSC111 Foundation of Nursing class. I remain your facilitator, Dr. Elizabeth Joseph Shehu. Today we'll be looking at concept of health and illness, and we have quite many objectives we wish to achieve in the course of this lecture. One, we'll be able to describe the concept of health, wellness, and illness. Two, you'll be able to describe 5 dimensions of wellness. You will also be able to discuss the etiology of illness and diseases. You should be able to classify illness and diseases and describe the health illness continuum. Health has been defined by different authors, but the meaning of health differs from how individuals perceive health to be, and it's important to respect to these individual differences now impose standards that may be personally unrealistic. However, the one definition that has been in existence and health personnel are used to is the definition given by WHO, which stated that is World Health Organization, which stated that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. WHO asserts in the preamble of its constitution that the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, regardless of the belief, economic, and other factors put into consideration. So, by WHO giving this definition, health is much more than physical well-being. It means more than not having a physical disease, but to be in harmony. The question that quickly comes to mind, however, is harmony with what and how. So to answer this question, there is need to explore cosmological framework to show how physical and social components of the society help to explain or determine the notion of health and illness. Therefore, the concept of health is based on the perception of the original and intended fashion of humanity. So, based on WHO definition, there's critical review of health. One, it reflects concern for the individual as a total person functioning physically, psychologically, and socially. They noted that mental processes determine people's relationship with their physical and social surroundings, their attitude about life, and their interaction with others. Place health in the context of environment. It takes cognizance of the fact that people live and therefore their health are affected by everything they interacted with, not only the environment that influence their health. You talk about the climate and availability of nutritious food have effect on their health, comfortable shelter, clean air to breathe, and pure water to drink. But also other people include family, that when other people include family, lovers, employers, co-workers, friends, and associates of various kinds, can also affect health or affect the definition of health. Equate health with productive and creative living, and that is why the moment you can still carry out your daily activities, many people believe that you are okay, that you are not sick. And according to them, it focuses on the living state rather than on category of diseases that may cause illness or death. Health, therefore, in its global broadest sense encompasses physical health, and when you talk about physical health, it entails physical fitness, the body fixing at its best, You talk about emotional health, that is feeling and attitude that make one comfortable with oneself. Another one is mental health, that is a mind that grows and adjusts in control, free of serious stress. Then you talk about social health, a sense of responsibility and caring for health and welfare of others. And lastly, spiritual health, which is inner peace and security, comfort with one higher power as one perceives it. Concept of health encompasses emotional and mental stability, spiritual well-being, and social usefulness. Health, despite health is the fundamental right of every human being or every individual, it is also a limited resources as well as a personal responsibility. It is considered a resource and personal responsibility because it is valuable and has no substitute, and it requires continuous personal effort. You don't wait that somebody has to do A and B for you to be healthy. So you have to take personal responsibility. Health, however, is not an absolute entity on itself. Rather, there may be fluctuations along a continuum from time to time. And this we will see when we are talking about health illness continuum. Health is not a condition, it is an adjustment, and it is not a state, it is a process. When you look at it that, oh, I have to take responsibility, it's not because A has to do one thing or the other for you. So you look at it that for you to be healthy, it needs your own responsibility. It's not a state of equilibrium, it's not something that is stationed, it's a process you work towards to achieve it. Like I said at the beginning of the class that we have many definitions of health. So we will take a look at few of these definitions based on what we have been discussing about the concept of health. Like DeLange and Lardner 1998 defined health as a process through which the person seeks to maintain equilibrium that promotes stability and comfort. Corroborate this fact. In other words, health is a dynamic process that varies according to the individual perception of well-being. Dobon 1978 viewed health as a creative process. According to him, individuals are actively and continually adapting to their environment. He stressed that individuals must, however, have sufficient knowledge to make informed choice about his or her health, and also income and resources to act on choices. So according to these two definitions, one look at it that, oh, it's a dynamic process. You have to work towards it. You have to keep on working towards maintaining that equilibrium. It's a process. While the other one say, oh, it's a creative process in which the individual has to continually adapting to the environment, in which individual must have sufficient knowledge to know what to do, to know what to take, and also have the resources to be able to say, oh, I want to take balanced diet to be healthy. This as Pike and Foster 1995 complement Debo's statement by arguing that, remember Debo said that health is a creative process. So it argued that it is important to take into account people's own perception and view on health, and that different people will see and express this in different ways. Individuals, as they continuously adapting to their environment, therefore are at different stages and level of wellness. In another one, it depends on you, and someone might be in the same community. Based on the view and understanding of that person's understanding of health, we make the person to adapt to their environment better than each other. It is also noteworthy that man responds to the environment in which he found himself as an integrated whole. This brings us to the concept of holism. What is the concept of holism? Holism is a philosophy that views the whole person. The person is seen as a complete unit that cannot be reduced to the sum of its parts. You cannot reduce an individual. That is holism. So that is why when you look at the definition of health by WHO, you can say that he put the entirety of human being into perspective. Health in holistic sense is total wellness, wellness of mind, spirit as well as body. And that is why when you look at definition of WHO, it put everything into consideration. But since it is virtually impossible for someone to be well and stay well, or get well and remain well forever, nurses are expected to assist people in the prevention of illness and restoration of health through holistic health care, that is comprehensive and total care of person. So if individual can achieve health on their own, there might not really be need for nursing practice. But however, because individual cannot be healthy and continue to be healthy, at one point or the other they will need an assistant, they will need information that will be able to help them to make such decision to stay. The next concept we'll be discussing is concept of wellness. Well-being is a subjective perception of vitality and feeling well. When you say that well-being, how well an individual is a subjective perception of feeling well, of vitality. There's nothing you use objectively to describe that. However, wellness can be described as a state, described objectively, when you can plot it on a continuum. So we look at it when we talk about health and illness continuum. Carroll and Miller 1991 states that the term wellness connotes good physical self-care, using one mind constructively, expressing one emotion effectively, interacting creatively with others, and being concerned about one physical and psychological environment. So ability for you to be able to harmonize all the aspects of every aspect human being interact with. Talk about their relationship, talk about their environment, talk about their physical being, then you can say, okay, this is what wellness connotes. Travis and Ryan 1988 also state that wellness is a choice, a process, efficient handling of energy, integration of body, mind, and spirit, and loving acceptance of self. So ability for you to harness everything about you together, talk about energy, talk about integration of body, mind, and spirit. You talk about that. When you can handle all these aspects very well, you say the individual is well. Wellness can be interpreted as full and balanced integration of physical, emotional, social, spiritual health. That is the condition in which an individual functions at optimal level. What are basic concepts of wellness? We have one, self-responsibility, which is the ultimate goal of wellness, self-responsibility. 2, a dynamic growing process. 3, daily decision making in areas of nutrition, stress management, physical fitness, preventive health care, emotional health, and other aspects of health. And most importantly, the whole being of the individual. So if you are able to work towards all these aspects we talk about, you are working towards achieving well-being. We have 5 dimensions of wellness. 1 is physical. What do we mean by physical wellness? The ability to carry out your daily tasks, achieve fitness, maintain adequate nutrition and proper body fat, avoid abusing drugs and alcohol or using tobacco products, and generally to practice positive lifestyle habits. The second dimension is the social dimension of wellness, the ability to interact successfully with people and within the environment of which each person is a part, to develop and maintain intimacy with significant others, and to develop respect and tolerance for those with opinion and belief. The third dimension is emotional, the ability to manage stress and express emotion appropriately. It encompasses the ability to recognize, accept, and express feeling, and to accept one's limitation. Intellectual dimension, the ability to learn and use information effectively for personal, family, and career development. It includes striving for continued growth and learning to deal with new challenges effectively. And the last one is spiritual. They believe in some forces, nature, science, religion, or a higher power that serves to unite human being and provide meaning and purpose to life. It includes a person's own moral, values, and ethics. The last concept we look at is concept of illness and diseases. Illness can be described as situation in which somebody failed to perform his or her normal roles in the society. However, when you look at the definition of health, so we cannot, it's not like opposite of each other. So disease, on the other hand, is a biological parameters of non-health, a pathological abnormality that is indicated by a set of signs and symptoms. It can also be defined as a state of discomfort that results when a person's health becomes impaired through diseases, stress, or an accident or injury. Disease may not necessarily be symptom manifesting, as many forms of disease are hidden and allow the carrier or victim to go about their normal businesses. So in another word, somebody that is still going on with his or her normal businesses, we cannot say that that person is healthy, because the person may have an underlying diseases. Etiology of illness and diseases, that is causes of illness and diseases. We have one, inherited genetic defect. It might be hereditary. We have developmental defect or congenital malformation like atrial septal defect. There are biological agents or toxins that can cause illnesses and disease. Then we have physical agents such as temperature, extreme temperature, either too cold or too hot. Then we have chemicals or radiation, generalized response of tissue to injury or irritation, physiological and psychological reaction to various stressors, and finally biochemical imbalances within the body. These are causes of illness and diseases. What are the classification of illness and diseases? Illness may be classified as acute, chronic, or terminal. They could also be classified as primary or secondary. So when you talk about acute, what does that mean? It's one that comes on suddenly and lasts relatively for just a short time. That is acute illness or diseases. Example of acute illness, we talk about bacterial conjunctivitis or gastroenteritis. So they come suddenly and it lasts for a short time. The next one is chronic illness. Chronic illness is one that is gradual in onset and lasts for a long time. Example of chronic disease can be arthritis or diabetes mellitus. They can be classified as chronic diseases, and chronic disease can lead to permanent impairment or deviation from normal, irreversible pathological changes, a residual disability. Special rehabilitation may be required, and it may also require a long-term medication. That is why we say example of it is hypertension or diabetic and diabetes. The next one is terminal illness. It's one in which there is no cure. For example, you talk about cancer. Cancer can be seen as terminal illness, or liver cirrhosis, something like that can be seen as terminal illness when there is no specific cure for such thing. Then we have primary illness. Is one that has developed independently of any other diseases. Any subsequent disorder that develops from a pre-existing condition is now referred to as secondary illness. For instance, hypertension leading to congestive cardiac failure. That shows that the primary one was hypertension, while the secondary one become congestive cardiac failure. Then etiological factors that can be as a result of hereditary. Hereditary condition is one that is transferable down the tree. For instance, you talk about sickle cell anemia. Then we also have congenital. Congenital disorder are those that are present at birth. Example is tetralogy of Fallot, while the last one is idiopathic, when the illness doesn't have any cause, when the cause of the illness is unknown. Example of it is cancer. So the next thing we want to talk about is health and illness continuum. What do we mean by health and illness continuum? It's defined as a continuum on its own, is defined as a continuous whole. Like we said, that our health is in a dynamic state. It's not something that you say you are healthy and you continue to be healthy forever. There is tendency for it to change as a result of stress or abuse, or even genetic makeup or environment, lifestyle can make the health of an individual to keep fluctuating. So consequently, fluctuation of health and illness can be illustrated on a health and illness continuum, as we have in the diagram here. One, this is the zone. This comfort zone is known as first wellness. That is when the individual, there is no any illness. So it's two-way. If the person is going through this way, that is going towards illness side, which can lead to premature, and it can also go this way. So from 0 it can get to 10, that is high level wellness, and it can go from 10 and go this way to premature death. However, at every point, the goal is that it should be able to come to this center where there is no symptom of any diagnostic disease, while the person will now be working towards being well, being healthy. So with that, we have come to the discussion today, and we just talk about the conclusion. We have discussed about 5 components of wellness that overlap to some extent, and factor in which in one component often directly affect another. But nonetheless, wellness involves working on all aspects of the model, that is the physical, the social, the spiritual, the emotional and psychological. The whole person, that is mind, body and spirit, functioning at optimal level. And contrary to the traditional view of illness, it has been shown to be a highly personal state in which a person feels unhealthy or ill. To provide effective nursing care and assist client patients in regaining and maintaining high level wellness, nurses must therefore understand patient client conception of health, as this influence their health belief and health practices. So as a nurse, you should be able to understand what does your client conceive health to be.